Now today I'm actually quite excited. This is my excited look. I've received at last my Wi-Fi Ranger. This is something we've been putting off and putting off and putting off, but we are so fed up with parking in campsites where the internet is about a mile away in some pokey little clubhouse. So this kiddie is going to solve all of our problems. I'm going to pop this on the roof. I mean, fortunately our coach was pre-wired, so it should make the job pretty easy, but I'll take you through the stages of installing this, and whether your coach is pre-wired or not, you'll see that it's pretty easy to do. Look, before we start the installation, let's see what you actually get in the kit when you order this product. Obviously you have some instructions, which is always useful. No man will ever read these until the product doesn't work, and then that's when we refer to the instructions. So I'll keep that sealed up in the pouch, because I never read instructions. So this is the actual antenna. This is the kiddie that this is the business end of the system. Now I particularly don't want this antenna mounted permanently. I think it'll look horrible, and I just don't want it mounted permanently in case I go under any low bridges or trees. Also, I don't want to keep climbing up the ladder to manually raise this antenna every time we park. So I've got a special device that's actually going to lift the antenna electrically. Inside the coach, you install a router. And this is the kiddie that when you open your laptop or your phone, this is what you're going to log on to inside the coach. And then obviously this transmits up to the antenna on the roof, and then you should get, I don't know, 4 to 6 miles worth of additional range for your Wi-Fi and your cellular. So I think there's one other thing, which is just a accessory pack for various fixings. So I'll get on and start this process, and I'll take the camera with me on the roof, and we can see how easy or how difficult how easy or how difficult it is, and also how good or bad this product works. I mean, I know loads of people who've got this product, and I know it works. That's why I bought it. So now in order to fit the router, excuse me if I call this a router, because in Europe we call it a router, so I might flip between router and router. In order to fit the router, the best place for this is in the corner on one of the 2 walls behind the television. That way it's completely out of sight. And also for me, because mine was pre-wired, the wires for me land up behind the TV, so it's a perfect space. Some people install this over by the passenger side window, but for this installation it's going behind the TV. So the first thing we need to do is actually remove the TV. Take the sound bar off. There's just plug in and pull out plugs, but very, very, very important on this. On this side of the TV, there is a coax cable at the back that has about 1/8 of an inch play. And if you're not careful, you'll unscrew all the screws, and then you still won't be able to get the telly out. And what you're actually doing is bending the RF card inside the TV. So when the TV's loose, you just need to swivel it a bit, enough to get your hand there and undo the RF cable. When I take this telly out, I'm going to actually extend that cable, because it's just ridiculous, the fact that there's no play. All I can imagine is that they wired it up first and then pulled the wires through into here. So just be aware of that, because if you damage the RF card, you won't receive any TV, and you'll need a new TV. Now, when you remove this TV, it's on one big bracket that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 screws. And now try and undo the most difficult screws first. Don't do the easy ones first, because once you get this loose, the whole thing the TV wants to actually fall over. So I'm purposely not undoing the screws at the front. I'm actually trying to undo the screws at the back first, because I know I can get to the screws at the front really easily, as you can see. So try and undo the screws at the back first. get the difficult ones out of the way, and then you'll need 2 people to remove the TV. But please, please, please bear in mind the coax cable just under this side, you've got no movement on it at all, so be very, very careful. Make sure that's unscrewed before you try and take the telly away. So this is the stage we're at now. I've terminated the Cat5 cable, which is data cable, and we've fixed the box on the wall, the router on the wall with the mains plug. This isn't actually plugged live yet, but just so the cables can fit. Now we will tidy up these cables so they run neatly down the wall. The reason we put it in the center as opposed to one side is that with the TV in place, we can still get our arm here in case we need to plug in something later on. So the job we now need to do is to get on the roof and screw the antenna down and do the connections on the roof as well. Okay, with the inside work done, we now need to find a place on the roof to mount the antenna. So I'm going to go up the front. I think that's going to be the best place. So we're on the roof, and basically here are the cables that Integra were kind enough to install for me as the RV was being built, which is going to make this job, you know, much shorter job than if I had to drill through the roof. Not that much longer, but you know, I've got the cables here, so it should be relatively easy. This is an antenna lift, so I'm fixing my Wi-Fi Ranger here, and this is electrically operated from inside the RV, and this will come up so far. And obviously the higher you can get the antenna, the bigger the range. I'm putting it here, it clears the satellite, so that's no problem, and I can wire straight into the waterproof box, so that's all good. I've just got to drill 6 holes, bolt it down, a bit of Dicor self-leveling sealant, which is the same as Integra use, and then basically fix my antenna, join the wires up here on the roof, and we should be good to go. So I think within about 30 minutes this should be hopefully operational. Okay, we've mounted the lifting plate. This plate lifts the antenna. It's a electrically operated antenna lift, and that's all been bolted down. I've just got to put some self-leveling sealant all the way around the edge to make sure there's no chance of any water getting in down into the screw holes. I just need to put a few zip ties around the cable so the cable doesn't get pinched. So basically that's it, and I've done most of the wiring downstairs. I've wired it all up into this box, which is connected down into the TV. I've got to put a load of sealant around this. I need to just tidy up these cables, and then we're pretty much done. Covered it all in the lap sealant, Dicor I think it's called, and that will actually find its own level now, and so that's completely sealed from the elements, and even the tops of the bolts are sealed. That way you get no water when it's raining going down the bolts and into the roof space. So yeah, it didn't take long to do, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, and that's it really. We're good to go.
on the control panel, on the main tab here that we're on, you see the list of all the Wi-Fi networks the Wi-Fi Ranger can see, and it's sorted top to bottom from strongest to weakest signal. You can see the signal strength bars here. You can see the type of network it is. WPA or WEP means that it's secured. It requires a password in order to connect to it. So if I were to say try to connect to this network, it would ask me for the password. Open networks don't require a password. Filtered networks don't require a password, but they do have a login page, you know, agree to the terms here, that kind of thing. So like McDonald's, all these different hotspots that are free typically are filtered networks. They don't require a password, but they do require you to go through some login steps. So typically you'll scan for networks and then connect to one that you have access to, and then that would get you online. But before we do that, let's go ahead and change the broadcast name and password. So on the Wi-Fi tab, you can change the private wireless network. You can change the name of it, or the SSID as it's known. So we'll just change that, and then the password, whatever you want to use. Neither of these, neither the name nor the password should have special characters like the ampersand, the $sign, %sign. None of those should be put in. It should just be letters and numbers. And of course punctuation like periods and stuff does work, underscores. So once you're done there, click Save Changes, and that is going to disconnect our computer or device from the original wireless broadcast, and it's going to make that new wireless broadcast. So on your computer or device, look at your list of networks and then find that new network name that you just created. And it can take probably 20 to 30 seconds for that to refresh. Then enter your new password. Once that's done, you'll be able to use the control panel again. And I do recommend bookmarking this control panel address. You can click Make Bookmark here. It tells you to hold Control, press D, which will add that to your bookmark bar. For a Mac, it's Command D. For PC, it's Control D. Then you can add that to your bookmarks. Makes it easier to find in the future. So other than that, on the Setup tab, you might want to change the order of internet connectors. You've got Ethernet WAN, internal Wi-Fi WAN, and cellular in this case. People with an Elite pack or a mini pack or any combination of an indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi Ranger would also have WFR control active. So you can basically prioritize which internet type of connection you want first. So let's say I want the USB port of my Wi-Fi Ranger Go to be my primary source of internet. I would move that up. Typically though, you want internal Wi-Fi or WFR control to be at the top so that the Wi-Fi Ranger is using Wi-Fi before using cellular. That way it can conserve your data plan and all that. So you can change that around, and then failover might be an option you want to turn on. It's a feature which causes the Wi-Fi Ranger to attempt to automatically get back online if it ever goes offline, and it will do that within 5 minutes or whatever you select the interval to be. So you might want to turn failover on. If you're more of an advanced user, you can turn Hide Advanced Features to off, and that will display a lot of new features, and most of them are only necessary for advanced troubleshooting or advanced users, but that is helpful to understand where that's at. Beyond that, you should look at the other training videos for specific features, but really to get started, you just need to set up your own network name and password, bookmark the control panel so it's easily accessible in the future, and then connect to a Wi-Fi source or plug in a USB air card or MiFi to get online. So other than that, that's all there is to it.